Hi, how you doing? Well, I've just got back from the Mentawais and I took a Step Up 6.6 Happy Traveller, so I thought I would do a review of the board now that I've had a chance to surf it a few times. So that board was 6.6 by 19 3/4 by 2 3/4 for 37.3 litres. I surfed 7 of the 10 breaks that was in the area, which was just south of playgrounds. And at that place, that area, there were about 3 waves that I really felt I needed a step up. So I had the opportunity to try out my Happy Traveller while I was there a few times. I've got here a 6.9, which I've just picked up and which I'm going to take with me on a trip next year. But I had the opportunity to order it and grab it before I left. So this one's 6.9 by 20 1/4 by 2 13/16 for 40.42 litres, a 6.9, but it's essentially the same board. So I'm happy to be talking about my experience with the 6.6, but showing you this particular board. So the first thing about the Happy Traveller is that it's part of Channel Islands Brit Merrick's Happy family, which includes the Happy Everyday, which I have. It includes the 2 Happy. It includes now the Big Happy, which they've introduced more recently, and then the Happy Traveller. So this concept of a family of boards, I really like it. Brit Merrick says that with a similar, particularly with a similar rocker across the boards and somewhat similar outlines, that the adjustment from one board to another, depending upon the waves you're surfing, is not great. And actually I buy into that concept because I also have a Paisel Ghost and I've got a Paisel Shadow, and they're part of the Ghost family of boards and they work in a very similar way. It's easy to transition from one board to another. I also have a Red Tiger XL, and it's obviously part of the White Tiger, Red Tiger, Power Tiger family. Very different board to surf though, not like surfing the Ghosts or the Ghost family. However, the Happy Everyday and this board have, similar characteristics, and they are easy to transition from. So let's talk about the outline firstly. I mean, this is intended as a step up. So you can see that it's got a high performance pulled in nose. It's got a, the curve on the outline is continuous. It is somewhat a little straight through here, but it is, I believe, a continuous curve coming down to this rounded pin. I think you can see the foil as I look at it here. And you can see that the foil has a lot of the foam between the rear third and the front third. So pretty much the foam sits all the way through here. Now there is quite a lot of foam packed into this. You can actually see it very easily on this 6.9. It does start to thin out up here, as you can see, and it's got an aggressive rocker up the front and a sort of a medium rocker out the back, and that outline does pull into that rounded tail. So it is intended as a high performance step up, and it certainly works that way. Now the rocker, there are 2 types of rocker in the Happy family. One is the staged rocker, which is what the Happy Everyday is, and I believe that the 2 Happy and the Big Happy have more of a continuous rocker, which is exactly what this one has. It has a continuous rocker, which I think you can see right there. So I have now surfed this probably half a dozen different times, once in New Zealand at Raglan, and also 3 or 4 times in the Mentawais. It is a board that took me a little touch of getting used to where to put my feet, because I ride Paisels as well, and it's a pretty neutral stance, and this board is a pretty neutral stance as well. It did, though, require me to sort of put my feet a little further back than I might normally have on my Ghost and on my Shadow, but that's a relatively easy adjustment to make. When I first rode it, I did find that when I was taking the drop, a couple of times I purled, and it was just a matter of shifting my feet back slightly, and I found that worked very well when I got to the Mentawais and was taking off on what I thought were some fairly serious waves. The board performed really well. It's designed really for two things. One is for getting into the barrel and holding in the barrel. You know, it's thinner, it sits a bit in the water, even though this one's carrying a lot of foam. It's intended to sit in the water, not on the water. And it's intended to work on the rail and to allow you to pull those bottom turns and those other turns well. So it's really kind of a board that's suited for both the barrel and riding on the face of the wave, and I found it worked really well in that regard. I wasn't able to surf waves that were easy to get into the barrel on. The waves that I was surfing with this board were, you know, solid 6 foot plus. They were heavy waves, they pushed a lot. They did have barrels, but they were very tight barrels, and it was very technical to get into them. And I didn't find, and most people who were surfing the same waves as I was weren't getting into the barrels easily, apart from the owner of the resort where we were staying, where he surfed a particular left-hand break exceptionally well and was just getting barreled all of the time on his backhand by pig dogging right in underneath the lip. But I wasn't finding myself in the barrel very often. I got a cover up and that was about it. But it worked really, really well, this board. I found that I could surf it easily. I could get up easily on it. I could take quite late drops once I adjusted to moving my feet back slightly. I could pull turns that I wanted. As I said to you, I did take the 6.6 up there. In fact, I could have ridden this 6.9 at 3 of the 10 breaks that I surfed. The waves move fast up there and you really need volume to get in. And I think that I could have taken this board and surfed it at those 3 waves that I was surfing at, and it would have just made it that slight bit easier to get in on the wave and get going, because when you paid the price, it was rather a heavy price that you paid. You got tossed around terribly, and then you often ended getting swept in on the reef, and if you survived that, then it was a long paddle back out. So I was very happy with the 6.6. I would have liked to have taken the 6.9 up there as well, but I'm hoping to go either to Grudgeon or Cloudbreak next year, and I think this board will go exceptionally well. The slight difference between this board and the Paisel Ghost is that the Paisel Ghost carries a little bit more foam up underneath the chest, whereas the foam in this board is really more in this area, sort of between your legs. Well, not quite between your legs, but certainly under your front foot, really. And that foam underneath your chest, I think, just helps you get into the wave a little bit easier. My Ghost 6.4 is 37.1 litres, and I think I probably would have found it as easy, if not a little bit easier, to get in on the waves than the 6.6 Happy Traveller I was using. However, I was very happy with it. It performed well. I really liked it. I've gotten it as a 5-fin, and I rode it as a quad every time I've ridden it. In fact, I rode it at Raglan on a sort of a 4 to 5 foot day as a quad, because I was really just testing it out, and I don't normally ride quads that much. And when I was surfing in the Mentawais with the Happy Traveller, I used it as a quad as well only. The one thing I haven't spoken about, which is the contour of the board. So it's really just a single concave coming down through the fins and then sort of flushing out at the end. Britt Merrick says, in regard to the, certainly to step-ups in this particular board, is that you're not trying to go as fast as possible So the board is not designed to give you more speed. It's designed to give you, to help you control speed by not having the board accelerate so much through using contours, and therefore just using the wave itself to give you the speed. And this is really about controlling the speed. And it seemed to be fast enough. However, the waves I was surfing were, two of the three waves that I used the Happy Traveller on were exceptionally fast waves. And two of them were right-handers, and so I was surfing on my backhand, and you needed every ounce of speed that you could get, and they were often sectiony, and so the section would close out anyway, and it was only when you picked exactly the right waves that you were able to sort of get through the sections and make the wave. So all in all, I'm very happy with the Channel Islands Happy Traveller. It suits me, it suits my style of surfing. As a step up, I found it worked really well, and I'm looking forward to using this one next year when I travel again. So all in all, I'd say it's a good board. It's been around for a long time. It's over 5 years old now, this particular design. There don't seem to be a lot of reviews out there, and yet it's a very popular board, it would seem, and it's certainly popular with me. So hopefully that gives you some information which you may not have had about the board. I can speak about it from using it. I'm happy with it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.